Hey everyone, welcome back, and today I'm really excited to share a bunch of ideas about reframing how we think about the elusive intermediate plateau. Now, over the years, I have noticed that so many learners seem to really be worried about reaching this stage in their learning, and they see it as a negative and worrisome thing. Now, in turn, I've seen a lot of videos and blog posts sort of address it as such over the years and really talk about how can you move past this obstacle. And I do think there's lots of really great advice in all those videos and blog posts. I just want to provide a new perspective on how we can think about the intermediate plateau today. Now, last week I shared my best tip on maintaining languages, and in that I gave you sort of a framework that was in part based on some ideas from this book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. So I'm also going to be sharing a few things from this book today. I do recommend it, so if you haven't read it, I will leave a link in the description. And if you like this video, please do subscribe and give me a like. So jumping in, the reason why I want to reframe this is because when I reach this sort of intermediate plateau in my own learning, I actually welcome it. I think of it as a very positive thing, and I think that we should all really be embracing that phase. So I'm going to give you a quote now, and I really want you to try to remember this until the end of the video, where it's all going to sort of tie into the ultimate message I have. You should be far more concerned with your current trajectory rather than your current results. So keep that in mind until the end. So I want to introduce this idea with an analogy from the book. I want you to imagine that you have a table or a surface and there's an ice cube sitting on it. Now in Fahrenheit, 32 degrees is freezing, which is the equivalent of 0 degrees Celsius. So we have our ice cube and it's 25 degrees Fahrenheit in the room. So below freezing. So imagine that we do some work and we manage to increase the temperature by 1 degree, right? So from 25 to 26. The ice cube doesn't change, right? We do some more work, we increase the temperature to 27 degrees. Nothing changes. 28, 29, 30, 31. We keep increasing the temperature by 1 degree every time, but the ice cube doesn't change state. However, when we finally increase it by 1 more degree, and we reach 32, all of a sudden the ice cube will begin to melt. Now that last 1 degree shift was no different than the other ones. We increased it by 1 degree every time. The last one was no different. However, it unlocked a massive shift. Now in the book, James Clear discusses how very often breakthrough moments are not just out of the blue. They are very often the result of lots of prior actions that didn't seem to make a difference at the time, but then they finally reach a point where they're able to release an enormous amount of change. So I want you to think of that analogy as sort of when you're learning a language. Now, when we reach this intermediate plateau, it feels like everything we do day by day, it doesn't really make a difference. When you're a beginner, it seems like every 1 hour you study results in this sort of like 1 unit of visible change. It's great. But then you hit that plateau and it just seems like nothing is really working. And I think that the fact that we get frustrated, it sort of exposes a fundamental problem with how we often think about progress. We often think progress is going to be linear, right? We just expect it to be sort of very simple, put 1 hour in, get 1 unit of progress out. But that is not how progress works. Progress is not a linear curve. Now, when you reach this phase in your learning, it's actually a very, very good thing because this is the hallmark of any sort of compound process. The results that you want, they're always delayed. So complaining that your language skills are not improving every day is a bit like complaining that the ice cube is not melting at 26 degrees or 27 degrees or 28 degrees. I want to share with you another quote from this book, and I think it's just absolutely excellent. Now, the quote is from Jacob Riis, a social reformer, and he said, "When nothing seems to help, I go and look at a stonecutter hammering away at his rock, perhaps 100 times without as much as a single crack. But yet, at the 101st blow, the rock splits in two. And I know that it was not the last blow that caused it. It was every single one before." And I think this is such a great analogy for language learning. And this is why I think that you should be excited to reach the intermediate plateau. Sure, in the beginning, everything is linear, but that's because you know so little that every new piece of information is like a visible thing that you can measure and say yes. But in a way, that's sort of an indication that you're still in that beginning phase. So when you reach the intermediate plateau, it's an indication that you have finished that beginning phase. You have reached a new level in your language learning where a single word or a single hour or even a single week of study doesn't just result in a massive jump. To me, this is where things really start to get interesting. This is where your knowledge starts to compound. And so this is where we go back to the quote I gave you at the very beginning of this video. You should be far more concerned with your current trajectory, not your current progress. And this also ties into the framework I gave you last week about developing a single, simple, daily habit for language learning. So if you're at the intermediate plateau and you're not studying at all, well, that's a whole different story. Your current trajectory is flat, or down, actually. But if you're following this framework I gave you last week with this sort of simple daily habit of language learning, then you can be confident that your trajectory is positive. You are heading in the right direction. And every single day that you execute on this habit is another blow to the rock. So just like the stone cutter, yeah, sure, every day that you're hitting that rock, it may not crack. You may not even see a visible difference. But the point is that you can be confident that you are on the right trajectory, that every single day it is making a difference. And so I want you to be happy that you are in this stage, because I think you can take comfort knowing that it is just a matter of time until the rock will finally crack into two and you will reach a new level and really see that tangible progress. You can take comfort knowing that all you have to do is just keep going. And I think this will help us all just sort of enjoy that process a lot more rather than worrying about not seeing progress every single day. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope that you got something out of it and maybe there was some new perspective here on the intermediate plateau. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos where I discuss non-language books and sort of apply them to language learning. So let me know if you like that, and I'd love to get your thoughts in the comments. See you next time.